Hello, I'm Julianne and welcome back to my channel, which is all about my quest to read down my bookshelves and get my number of unread books down to a more manageable level. If you're interested in why I'm doing this and the whole story behind that, check out my previous video, the channel relaunch video, in which I explained all of that in detail. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the rules for this project and how I'm going to set about this epic battle of human versus bookshelves. So when I was writing down the rules, coming up with all of the processes and restrictions for this project, I asked myself a bunch of questions, and so this video is going to be divided up into sections themed around those. The first question I asked myself is, how long is this project going to last? And I decided to be super ambitious and say that it will last until I only have 30 unread fiction books on my TBR, or I decide it's over. I decide that I have run my course with this project, I've got what I needed to get out of it, or I've got down to 30 books, because I feel like 30 books is, it would just be incredible to have such a small, manageable number of unread books on my TBR. But I may actually decide that 50 is enough, 60 is enough, maybe even a couple of hundred is enough. I have absolutely hundreds of unread books at the moment. So yeah, I'm saying 30 unread books for now, but I will see how I feel throughout this project. I will see how long it takes. I will see how I develop through this project, and I will have a kind of review process. Every time I've read 50 more books, I will review and see where I'm at, if I need to tweak any of the rules, if I'm going fast enough, if I think I can give myself a little bit more freedom, leeway. We'll see how that goes. The next question is, how many unread books do I currently have? Several hundred. Will I be counting them and putting them into a spreadsheet? Absolutely not. Do you know why? There are just too many. Counting them all and writing them out into a spreadsheet would just be a form of procrastination. I think it is just far more productive for me to get on with the reading. Am I banned from acquiring new books? No. Once I have read 50 books, I am going to have a look at this rule and revise it. Hopefully I can read 50 in time for Christmas, so that I can put some books on my Christmas list, because there are some things I would like to ask for. I think 50 is what it's going to take to make a visual difference to my bookshelf. So this is not my only bookshelf. I also have a bully bookshelf downstairs with, I think, like 2 shelves kind of double parked full of unread books. I also have a couple of shelves at my parents' house full of unread books as well. But what I did was I went through my Kallax, I counted all of the books on kind of the front layer, and there were 126. So based on that, I think that 50 books will clear up a few of these front rows and make it so there is a visual difference, which I will find really motivating. I know that from previous decluttering projects, there is nothing more motivating than being able to physically see the difference and how much better your space looks. And I don't think anything less than 50 is going to make a difference dramatic enough for it to have that psychological motivating impact on me. 50 will make a big dent in the state of my shelves, in the state of my TBR. It will allow me to be more tidy and again show that visual progress. Is there a time limit? No. I'll stick with this until I'm done, or I decide at one of my 50 book reviews that I no longer want to continue the project. Am I banned from Netgalley? Reluctantly, yes. And again, this is a rule that I can review every 50 books. The problem with Netgalley is the time limit. It's like library books. That time limit means that I end up prioritising those books over everything else on my shelves. I find it really, really stressful having that time limit and other things putting demands on my time as well. And it just gets in the way of me being able to prioritise effectively and make progress in the way that I like. One of the reasons I'm doing this project is so that Netgalley can actually become one of my main sources of books to read. There are so many new books that I just do not get around to, forget about, because of various Netgalley bans that I've had in the past. And I want to get to a state where I don't have to ban myself from Netgalley anymore. I can just use it and enjoy it and make the most out of being a really, really micro influencer when it comes to the book world. I'm doing this to reclaim Netgalley and the joy that it can give me. Have I organised my bookshelves? No. Although, when I first moved into this house, the back rows were organised, and when I had this bookshelf in my flat, I actually did a whole bookshelf reorganisation and separated everything by genre, kind of broad categories sometimes, but mostly genre. And I packed everything up when we moved into boxes together, so behind the mess, there is organisation, and as I read books, I think the shelves will, to an extent, automatically become more organised. And maybe at some point in the future, when I have few enough books, I'll do a proper reorganisation and can film that, and it will be lovely. But right now, no. One thing I will have to sort out is where I'm going to put the books that I've read that I want to keep. Because at the moment, the shelves I used for that downstairs are full. I don't have space for any more books that I want to keep. And you know, those are books that I have thought about a lot and that I definitely want to keep. There's not going to be any decluttering when it comes to those. There are some books I've kept at my parents' house, which I think I might declutter. But until I get to the point of being able to bring all those books here, it's not practical for me to consider that. So yeah, that's the one thing I need to do, is sort out where I'm going to put them, make some space on my desk, in a cupboard, somewhere for me to put those books. So they're not just getting piled up and at risk of being knocked over on the floor. What will I do about series books? So I have lots of series that I have started reading and not finished. And one of the things I really would like to do during this project is finish those books. However, in some cases that is going to require acquiring more books. So what I will try and do is read series where I have at least 2 of the books already on my shelves. Because if I complete the series and I don't want to keep it, then that is quite a few books out of the way, right? If I only have the first one, then I will try and leave it towards the end of the project, where I can kind of temporarily, possibly, welcome new books into my home in order to finish the series. And there were a few series that I tried to finish before this project even started, which you can find about if you watch my previous video, all about how I prepared for this project. Time. How will I approach this in terms of my weekly schedule, fitting it in around everything else I do? So my goal is that every day I work from home, I will read for 1 hour. Now I'm specifying days I work from home because when I work from home, I rarely go out in the evening. I try to have my evening activities on days when I'm going into the office, and also when I'm going into the office, it takes up so much time that I don't have that much to set aside for reading. I may read on those days anyway, but when I'm working from home, I have much more time and I can try and spend some of it reading a physical book. I do have to fit in other stuff like going to the gym around that, and there's a reason why I have listened to so many audiobooks over the last couple of years, and that has been the ability to take them to the gym, to take them on my commute, and I'll talk more about audiobooks in a minute, but I really need to prioritise reading, and so I'm going to make a little checklist for myself where I can check off that I've read for an hour every day when I'm working from home. At the weekend, again, if I'm not going out that day, I will try to read for at least an hour, but if I am going out for that day, quite often I'm too tired for reading. I just want to watch some YouTube, and I'm not going to be too restrictive on myself. I think post-work I actually really enjoy reading because it makes me have like a kind of clean mental break from everything I've been doing at work, but weekends is a bit different. If I've been going out and doing lots of stuff, I can get very tired, and sometimes reading can be too much. What am I going to do about audiobooks? So I am not banned from audiobooks because they are a great way for me to take in books whilst commuting and going to the gym. It's pretty much the only way that I can listen to audiobooks on my commute because there's just 2 short journeys to read. I will end up in the wrong part of the country. If I read a print book, I need to be able to look out and see what stations are coming up. And also my journeys, because they're not that long, I have changes to make where I'm walking around a station, and if I'm listening to an audiobook, I can walk around the station, change platforms, whilst continuing to absorb my book. But However, audiobooks have been a problem in the past that I need to deal with. They have created the Netgalley effect where I've been scrambling to desperately finish a book because it's due back at the library. So here are my rules. Overdrive/Libby, no change whatsoever because there is a deliver later function. So if I've requested an audiobook and it comes in at a time that's inconvenient, I can just put it off for a couple of weeks. Fine, no problem. Audiobooks, on the other hand, because I have access to both these apps through various libraries that I'm a member of, Audiobooks, I must try to space out my holds because Audiobooks does not have deliver later. So I am going to try and request books that are going to come in a month separate from each other. Because I will get audiobooks from Overdrive/Libby coming in, I don't think I need to fill my schedule with audiobooks on Audiobooks. If I get to a point where I don't have any holds coming in soon and I need a new one, then I'll just pick one that is available now. That's fine. From either app, won't upset the schedule, but I really have to space out when my holds are going to come in from Audiobooks. Or just learn to not need to have holds on 6 books at a time because, yeah, it has created a huge amount of stress in me scrapping to try and finish books and having to drop everything, including writing, to finish a book before it goes back to the library and somebody else has it out and I can't get it again for several months. So there we go. Those are my rules for the Julianne Vs TBR project. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you were doing this or if you are doing something similar, what are your rules? What would you change? Do you have any suggestions for me? Please let me know because, of course, in 50 books time, I will be revising all of these. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to find out how this all goes, please do subscribe. You'll see me again soon. Bye.